So, hi, welcome to Guys Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Chad with Bridge of the Gap.
And we have some questions to say about the upcoming album, Gainsayer. So, congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Thank you, by the way. Happy to be here with you guys. Stoked so far. You know, we've gotten really good feedback and the streams are doing pretty good. We just announced pre-orders last week. So I don't know the numbers on that yet, but hopefully good.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the album fucking rips.
Oh yeah, shit rocks.
Yeah. We got to check it out.
Appreciate you.
Yep.
Of course. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Well, the title Gainsayer is just kind of like, you know, if you know in the to use the word and nothing he could say would gainsay him or whatever. I'm gonna botch it right now, but just kind of being the guy that's speaking up, speaking out, maybe running counter to the narrative. So just like speak your mind, be a gainsayer, kind of like don't be afraid to it's more like self-talk than anything. It's like us talking to ourselves, like just say what's on your mind, just whatever. And the album art, our guitar player Jeff, who recently had to leave the band, at least for now, due to some family stuff and some health stuff, he had this idea. He's more of like he's a great musician, but he's also he's an architect. It's what he does for a living. And he's a great visual guy, artist. So like ideas for videos and like, he can draw a little bit. And he just had this idea of like a face, just kind of scream, like the scream looks like, whether it's a shout, a scream, whatever. And so we worked with an artist he knows, and it turned out the way we hoped it would. We love the cover. It's perfect.
That's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Well, I mean, our first record, like I had demoed like 70 songs.
Goddamn.
And then I started sending them to the dudes in the band. Before Bridge the Gap was a band, these were all my buddies from our old band from the 90s and early 2000s. So I sent it to them and getting feedback just for fun. And then one thing led to another, and we ended up restarting a band, going and recording a record. Here we are. But on this record, almost all the songs, there's a couple, 2-3 exceptions maybe, but they were all songs that were written after our first trip to the blasting room. So like, I don't know, something about being there the first time, I think maybe inspired me quite a lot when it came to writing. And so the songs are a little bit more dense. They're a little bit more, not to sound pretentious, but they are a little bit more sophisticated musically. And so, pardon me, the focus was really like, I wanted this one, if you work with Bill Stevenson at the blasting room, like vocals are the main focus. Like he'll give you, if he sees there's a reason for it, he'll offer like an arrangement suggestion or tweak. But mostly what he's really like focused on is vocal melodies and vocals, period.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me coming out of the blasting room. And so this one, I wanted the song selection to be songs from the old bucket. I have like 80 or 90 songs demoed, but I wanted it to be the newer songs, and they had to be really strong vocal melodies. And so that's kind of what we went with.
Hell yeah. Now, you mentioned you did the album with Bill Stevenson. I'm curious, like how that process went for you, because that's obviously a huge deal. He's a fucking powerhouse.
Yeah, dude, he's a hero. Like we're older guys. We're in our 40s, so being able to record with Bill and work with Jason and all those guys would have been almost impossible for us to do when we were running and gunning in the 90s and early 2000s without like being signed to a bigger label that would pay for that, because it was just, financially out of reach for us. And, that's the nice thing about breaking up as a band, going 10 or 15 years and building jobs and careers and businesses and then circling back. We had a little bit more means. And so, being able to go and work with them, I tell you what, it's worth every penny, because again, it's like you're pinching yourself the whole time you're with them. The first time, like the first time we were there was like punk rock summer camp almost for like 2 or 3 weeks, however long we were there. The second time we knew more what to expect. And so like, the time leading up to the second stint at the blasting room for Gainsayer, I spent a lot more time on vocals and basically relearning how to sing. It sounds ridiculous, but going almost 2 decades without really singing, like every day singing,
Hmm.
you kind of sleep on honestly what it takes a little bit, and just like having an affectation or a style as a vocalist. Like when I listened to our first record, Bill made sure the vocals were good, but it's a very kind of a sterile, me just singing my ass off, just trying to hit the notes for Bill.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then the second one, I had spent enough time on it and I learned enough working with Bill the first time that when you listen to Gainsayer, it's more of a vocalist that's like using his voice as an instrument as opposed to just holding it on for dear life and belting it out. We got the pitch, okay, good. We got the energy. All right, next line, stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
it's kind of a crash course, but we learned a lot from the first trip to the blasting room, and that served us well the second time around. Plus,
Great.
I didn't lose my voice the second time,
That's good.
which is the first time
Yeah, it's
ever, the
perk.
first time I've ever done an album where I didn't at least lose my voice once. And that was thanks to Sean, our bass player, taking over the backup, like the bulk of the backup duties, singing the tight harmonies, especially because when you work with Bill, you sing, if you're the vocalist, okay, you'll sing the whole lead vocal, however long it
Mhm.
takes. It might take you an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, depends.
Mhm.
Get it locked, and he'll be like, all right, got any ideas for harmonies or woes or oohs or ahs on this one? And
Mhm.
if you have any, you'll submit it to him and he'll be like, all right, let's go through it. And if not, he'll just like come up with ideas as you go through, and you'll stand there at the mic another hour and a half, 2 hours,
Mhm.
locking them in. And you're not singing soft falsetto. You're also belting it out at like full volume. And so this time around, it was nice having Sean singing backups because that took a lot of a stress off my plate, kept
Yeah.
the old voice box in good working order.
That's good to
Mhm.
hear. Hell yeah. I love that you guys, you took a step away from music and you're able to come back and just, basically live a childhood dream, getting to work at the blasting room.
Mhm.
Totally, dude. Like when we were kids, it's not like we were trying to be I don't know, rock stars or anything. Like to us back then, if you would have asked us, hey, what's like the dream? What's the goal? Have you ever seen the Tenacious D movie, The Pick of Destiny?
No,
If not,
unfortunately, I have not.
you should. But one of the
Damn it.
tropes is like they just want to be able to pay their rent with their rock,
Mhm.
you know? And
Hell
so like
yeah.
that was our thing back then. It was like, hey man, if we could just like pay our bills with whatever we make doing the band full time, that would be the
Mhm.
dream. And then when we came back together, there's no expectations. It's just doing it for the fun, the passion. And it's kind of funny how the universe responds a little bit differently when your priorities and expectations are set differently. Like just speaking from our experience, tends to open a lot more doors when you're doing it for passion, enjoyment, the joy of like collaboration and pursuit of your art and just coming together, all that stuff. Everything else is like secondary as far as expectations, and I don't know, it just kind of keeps it in focus for us.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
100%. All right. So, what song off the album took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
I'm trying to think which one may have taken the longest to write. Um, I'll tell you, there's a lot of lyrics in the throws.
Mm.
So like maybe from a lyric perspective, that one probably took the longest to write just because there's the most room for lyrics. But um usually when I'm writing songs, like it always starts with I'm noodling around and it's a riff.
Mhm.
And then my brain interprets and goes, ooh, first of all, there's something novel and cool about it because
Mhm.
really all I'm doing is writing music. The kind of music we make, we're just basically making the kind of music we want to hear. All right.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, like, when I'm playing a riff, I go, ooh, that's interesting, novel, it's cool. Then I interpret it almost probably on a subconscious level. Is it an intro? Is it a verse? Is it a chorus? Or is it a bridge or something? And then most of the time, it's probably an intro riff or something. And then like as soon as I have that, dude, like I don't put it down till it's pretty much structure's like done. Like I'll write the whole
Mhm.
song like right now.
Yeah.
And I have a great wife and awesome kids that, when I'm in that zone, they just kind of let me do my thing and they understand. And then I come up
Hell
for
yeah.
air and it's over and it's out and it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So usually the music side of it doesn't take that long. It's the lyrics Finding the right vocal melodies, because I have songs again of that, like, list of 70, 80 songs, 90 songs, however many now, that are cool songs musically, but like nothing really strong has come to me for a vocal melody, so they sit. Sometimes the vocal melody comes right away, like as I'm writing it. And those songs, it's a lot easier to jump right in and write the lyrics, to the vocal melody and meter that you're hearing in your head. So I would say probably Throws, though, to answer your question on the song that took the longest. And what was the other one? Favorite?
Yep.
Personal favorite.
Sorry, I'm being a little long-winded here.
You're
No,
good.
you're all good.
I don't know. I kind of vacillate on that, but I would say right now probably my favorite is a song called Something Fierce toward the end of the record.
All right. Hell yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
So how did the track list for your album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, close be a closer? Did shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
So we had an idea of what we wanted the opener to be, but there were actually two candidates to be the opener as far as sequencing goes. And the second one, we ended up dropping it from the record at the blasting room. We ended up not tracking it and replacing it with what is The Wait. So The Wait is the last song on the first side of the record. So I think it's track 7. Anyway, and so that wasn't exactly an album opener. So we just kind of always had a feeling it was going to be the title track, Gainsayer, just like kind of set the mood a little bit, set the expectation. We like our album openers, or to kind of have like a little bit of a build-up effect, not too like gratuitous, not spending too much time on it, but a little bit of a build-up, and then boom, we're off to the races.
Yeah.
Makes
Damn
sense.
straight. All right. And would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating the record?
Honestly, like when you're in the studio, it's very much get it done as soon as possible, because you're of course enjoying it while you're there, and you're having a lot of fun, and there's a lot of good memories, and there's plenty of time for hanging both while you're tracking and then like at night when you're all done, going to dinner, grabbing a drink, whatever. But the blasting room guys are very respectful of the money that is being spent.
Okay.
So they want to make sure that you as a band, or if your label's also chipping in, or if your label's paying for the whole thing, or if the band's paying for the whole thing, they want to make they're not sitting on their thumbs. Like, let's get it going. And so what happens is it kind of becomes a, fastest driver drives the car type situation. And so you're just trying to get it done as quickly as possible, because inevitably, at least my experience so far doing music since I was 15 years old in studios and stuff, is you're going to run out of runway when it comes to vocals. So the quicker you can get, because that's the one thing. Yeah, drumming is like a physical thing, but it's the very first thing you do typically when you're tracking a record.
Yeah.
And the voice, whoever's the singer, there is the limitations of physiology. Like sometimes a guy like myself, you lose your voice and then it shuts everything down. And so you got to wait a day. You're on the clock, so to speak. Money's being spent. So it's more like, let's just get this stuff tracked. And then it allows you to kind of relax a little bit and just do the vocals and get through it,
Yeah. It is awesome to hear that the team over there is so like conscious of everyone's time, and not just burning your money for the sake of burning your money, because it's it's paying the bills per se for them.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say that's especially a priority for Bill.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. So this question should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words, no more, no less.
I'd say melody, width, and depth. How's that?
That's good.
But it's not a phrase. It's like 3 separate words. So I don't know.
And that works. We didn't really put any like boundaries or parameters for it. It's just 3 words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'll go with that.
Damn straight. And in the same vein, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want this album to invoke in your listeners?
Honestly, not necessarily. Like, these songs are all about something. Each one has its own kind of inspiration of where it's coming from, or a perspective, or point of view that is being asserted. But with very few exceptions, I try not to spend too much time talking publicly about like, oh, this song's about X, Y, or Z, because as a huge fan of music myself.
Yeah.
I like listening to a song, and it's cool to know what the songwriters actually what it's about or whatever, but I like to be able to interpret it to mean what I want it to mean. You know what I mean? Like I want it to be open to interpretation. And so I would say it's a very emotional album. There's a lot of different like emotions, not
Yeah.
too many like societal type of songs. Maybe three of the songs are kind of like societal observation type songs. Most of them are
Mhm.
like kind of personal, emotive things
Mhm.
going on. Type of thing. So I don't know. That's a hard question for me to answer. Not trying to wiggle out of it.
No, you're good.
No, it's
Like
completely
a
fine.
completely valid answer is just like as long as you feel something. There's a lot of different
Yeah.
emotions on the record, and as long
There
as
you
you
go.
come
Different
away with something,
topics.
you're
Mhm.
good.
That's
Yeah.
a great way to put it.
Hell
Damn
yeah.
straight.
So can you talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of this album, positive or negative?
Always when you're tracking vocals, like you come back to the vocal thing, because for all of us, by the time we get to the studio, we're pretty dialed in on the songs, playing them on guitar, bass, and drums. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, there's a few tricky parts here and there, and you're going to take the time to knock them out in the studio. But
Mhm.
usually the part that I dread is the vocals because I'm telling you, like, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. I've been on the planet for 45 years. I'm in my 46th year.
Mhm.
And no lie, one of the most difficult things for
Yeah.
that I've ever had to do is sing for Bill Stevenson.
I don't
And
blame you.
so,
Yeah.
fortunately, like I said, I learned a lot the first time around.
Mhm.
And there's multiple times where I was like, wanted to quit. I felt like I was wasting this man's time. And
Yeah.
like he's really cool and compassionate, I would say. So like anytime I never voiced that, I never like said that, but there are times in my head I'm going, oh my gosh, dude, you totally slept on the standard and expectation. You probably should have watched filmage before you came and sang for Bill Stevenson, because maybe then you would have been a little bit more prepared. But
Mhm.
just doing the vocals, it's really hard. Uh,
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the singer's headache, but when you're belting, punk rock,
Mhm.
yeah, pitch, you've got different styles or affectations you might want to put into it or whatever, but it's really important to have energy in the vocal.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you're singing punk rock as the lead singer,
Mhm.
like you're belting it and so what happens is these vein, whatever the carotid, they're like constantly going. And so it starts over oxygen and you're breathing in deep and you're holding your breath and you're belting. So
Mhm.
what happens is I thought it was actually oxygen deprivation is why the headache comes in, but it's the opposite. It's that
Mhm.
you're oversaturating oxygen in your bloodstream from taking the big
Oh.
breaths and then belting and big breath again
Yeah.
and then belting. And so the first time around, it was like clockwork. Bill actually was like, okay, he'd like text me or call me. We're supposed to start vocals, say at 2. I'd get the
Mhm.
text, hey, ibuprofen, take it now. So it's in effect when I get there,
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
And this time around, and usually what would happen, even with the ibuprofen, like hour in or so, the headache would come and it can be blinding actually. Like anyone that's ever had a
Mhm.
migraine, it kind of feels like that. But the second time around, I only got the singer's headache one time because I kind of learned how to sing in between. So,
Yeah.
That's great.
but it was still the biggest challenge is doing the vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
Completely
learning,
understandable.
experiences throughout this album cycle.
Mhm.
No doubt. Every time is you learn a little something about yourself, about the recording process. And,
Mhm.
if you're planning on doing this for a while, it's really cool because it just makes you better the next time you go.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Damn straight. So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour. You're at a gas station for a rest stop. You're going in. What is your snack of choice?
Ah, I'm probably trying to find like some hot Cheetos, like the fire Cheetos
Okay.
or like
Dope.
an off brand of that.
All
Uh,
right.
and some water, just trying to drink more and more water, especially when you're on the road.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And for the last couple questions, going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Ooh. Well, I don't drink alcohol, so I will tell you that my drink, if that was the last drink I was ever gonna have, I'd probably just drink a Mountain Dew. But my
Hell
meal
yeah.
my meal would be something like like seafood feast, like lobster, crab, loaded up. I'm not big on like mixing up surf and turf. Like if it's either surf or it's turf for me, but I would ask for like lobster tail, some crab, maybe
Mm-hmm.
some shrimp and Mountain Dew.
Damn
Hell
straight.
yeah.
Damn straight. Fancy as hell. And if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Oh wow. I don't know. I think it would be kind of rad to check out Middle Earth. You know what I'm saying? As a
Hell
Tolkien
yeah.
nerd,
Mm-hmm.
um, either that or like the Game of Thrones world. Just see what it's really like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That'd be fucking dope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I've done a asking last question. Every single person I've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What is your favorite color?
Jeez, I don't know, dude. Probably blue. Like navy
Mm-hmm.
blue is probably my favorite color.
Oh,
That's
hell
solid.
yeah. Navy
Black
blue.
black doesn't count. It's not really a color,
Thank
even though
you.
most of what I
Thank
wear is probably
you.
black. Like today is probably one of the most colorful outfits I'll ever rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, blue, probably navy blue.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Solid.
So as I said, that's all the questions I have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
No, we just have we're going to be announcing some shows here soon. So just keep it locked with Bridge the Gap on social, on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. And you'll be in the loop on that. So thank you guys. Really fun conversation. I appreciate you having me.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, of
Appreciate you taking
course.
the time. Well, thank you. It's been Chad from Bridge the Gap, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.